we're going to watch this video, how private equity destroyed youth sports. So I thought this is another one that came across my feed that I thought would be very interesting and something we talk about a lot with just AAU in general. So I wanted to watch this one, but I wanted to watch this on stream. So this is More Perfect Union. Go like, go subscribe, and we'll give our thoughts, I suppose. Hopefully it's good.
Youth sports is my whole life right now. Ready, go! For all 3 kids, I'm spending probably around $25K a year. The schedule is crazy. The expenses are crazy. I am constantly exhausted, but they love playing sports. Boys, we're here. Up, 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 up. Yeah. Baseball, let's go.
Yeah.
Man, $25K for sports.
When I was growing up, things were different. Sure, the fields weren't perfectly manicured, but everyone could afford to play. But the average cost of putting a kid in sports has jumped 46% since 2019. Youth sports is now a $40 billion industry, double the NFL's annual revenue.
It's crazy, man.
Private equity giants like Varsity Brands and Unrivaled are cashing in. Nowadays, families making under $100,000 a year.
Yeah, and this is kind of the problem we were talking about with, we were just talking with Coach Christian about, like, the fact that parents think that they need to send their kids to all of this training and all of this AAU stuff is crazy too. Like the industry to get you to try and do these things, it's insane. It's insane.
Are half as likely to have kids in sports at all.
As costs go up, parents are getting squeezed, and kids are getting priced out of the games they love.
Youth sports, I think, is destroying parents. Can you move quick? We gotta get your brothers.
Youth sports is destroying parents.
It's baseball. It's destroying a sense of community.
The level of pressure,
destroying.
The level of like supposed opportunity. This has all been like shock for me.
It's become a money grab.
I know a lot of families that have taken out loans and have credit card debt.
Man, y'all can't tell me this kid does not look like D'Angelo Russell. That's why I thought this was AI.
A lot of families that have taken out loans and
I thought this was AI, and it was just an amalgamation of like D'Angelo Russell and just some random youth athlete.
Have credit card debt.
Youth sports were supposed to be for everyone.
Is that your train station?
Oh my God.
Brick? What'd you say?
I said brick for the first one.
Oh my God. That's 3.
Bro, 3.
Rock, paper, scissors, set, shoot. You want to go first? Yeah.
I feel this is all from travel ball and extra leagues, right? Yes, 100%. So the problem, Cam, is that the problem is with travel ball. Okay, so this will probably get into it, so maybe we'll cover it a little bit later, but parents think that to make the school team, you got to play on the travel team because all the travel team kids are better and they're all going to the same school. So it's like, if you don't go to the travel team, your kid's going to be behind. So you got to go onto that team. And then they're traveling to Utah and Atlanta and Cincinnati. So you got to play on that. But then now the travel team is like, well, if you don't go to this high school and play, you're not going to make our travel team. So it just feeds itself. It feeds itself. And then people think they're missing out when in all actuality, you're paying $25K like they're talking about just to play some damn basketball.
When my husband was small, he started playing football and worked his way up and did it all on his own and got himself a full ride, everything covered, superstar, NCAA scholar athlete, all of the things. In 2023, my husband very suddenly passed away.
Oh.
So I didn't actually really start.
So this is part of the problem too. So damn, that's sad. So these are kids of an elite athlete. And typically they have like a little bit better chance because those elite athlete parents know how to navigate the system. They know what you need, what you don't need. So now she's left on her own to like make these decisions. Most parents are like her. They weren't elite athletes, so they don't understand how the system works. So they listen to these people online that tell them what they need to sign up for, how much everything costs, and they need to pay for it. Yeah, these are the people it really hits. That's crazy.
Thinking about, oh my God, scholarships for college until he passed away. I was in this quagmire. What do I do? Do I stop all of this? Do I give the kids time to breathe?
Wait, I need a break. I need a break.
I had maintained their schedule the
Man, he ain't making it pro. He said he needs a break. No days off, kid.
first year after he died. I thought, okay, I'm just going to keep doing this, and we're going to push and push and push and see if we can secure these scholarships.
So when did
And that's the thing that's sad too. A lot of these parents, so she probably thinks like, yeah, I'm paying $25K a year, but if they get their scholarships, then it's all worth it. And at the end of the day, and this is something I didn't learn when I went through college. I had massive student loans, didn't understand how the system worked. But if you just go to like an in-state college, it's not going to cost that much money so even if you want your kid to walk on, like you could just pay for their college. It's cheaper than doing all of this AAU and all this, getting all these crazy expenses. But also there's millions of other ways to get scholarships. It's actually not that difficult to get scholarships in other avenues. It's more guaranteed to get a scholarship in another way rather than an athletic scholarship.
scholarships become such a focal point of youth sports?
In the early 1990s, about $250 million a year was distributed by Division I and Division II schools for athletic aid. Well, today, that number is north of $4 billion.
Whoa.
So that's a lot of money. It's in part because the cost of college has gone through the roof.
Parents
Again, this all just feeds itself, man. It's crazy.
are desperate for a way to pay for college. And for a lot of them, they see a college scholarship and NIL money as the best route to do that. When you look at college sports across the board, only about 2% of high school athletes end up playing in college.
We're chasing scholarships because I'm really worried about how to pay for college. Having said that,
You see what I mean? Like kind of what Day is saying in the chat, like just not having the information scares you into spending more money, you know? And it's sad because there are experts out there that could very easily, if our sports media and information like pipeline was just like more informational rather than based on sensationalism and engagement farming, people like this would know, oh, this is where I go for information. Oh, these are the people I listen to for advice. Instead, it's just more coaches and trainers telling you how to spend more money.
I know that the probability is low.
The pitch is simple. Invest in your kid now, and it might pay off later. So travel leagues and scouting showcases started to emerge as a way to get exposure for kids.
So come on, do it in the car. Your hats and stuff are in the car, right?
Yeah.
I'm a full-time sports momager.
And if your kid is good enough, so the way AAU the reason elite athlete parents, the reason they know how this works is because when they were elite athletes and they played AAU, they didn't need to pay. But someone else, like if you're good enough, like other people will pay for you to be on their team. So there's probably 20, 25, no, actually more. There's probably one in each state. Two, let's be generous. Let's say there's 100 teams. Let's just say there's 2 in every state. We got to look at boys, girls, whatever. There's 100 teams in the country that the athletes are good enough to where they shouldn't have to pay to play AAU. They're good enough to where there's 100 teams probably in the country. But if you're not one of those 100 teams, everyone else is paying. You don't necessarily need AAU. AAU is not for you. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying it's just if you want to do it, fine. But you're going to pay a lot of money to go travel and play games that might not be meaningful.
With 3 boys living in New York. After I drop them off at school, I spend most of the day figuring out my logistics. I'm just driving from place to place to place. My friends think I'm crazy.
Smile. While they're waiting, put the balls in the bucket. Why? Because I said so.
But not every parent wants to turn their 10-year-old into a full-time scholarship-chasing machine. Some families want their kids to just play. So where did these casual, low-cost opportunities go?
A few things happened that got us to this point today. First of all, we had the 2008 financial crisis. In the wake of that, Parks and Rec departments saw their budgets slashed, and that included budgets for rec leagues. Next, we had COVID-19 that just resulted in immediate closures of all kinds of sports.
So this might actually go into why when they say kids are not outside playing as much anymore, this might go into that as well. And come to think about it, when I was in Australia, that was a huge problem. We always say, like, kids aren't playing basketball anymore. They're doing all this private training. It's like, yeah, but do kids have access to just like can they just go to the gym and hoop? All the courts are taken up by private equity now. All the gyms are taken up. Like, you can't get in the gym. And then the parks aren't that necessarily that nice, depending where you're at. So yeah, I guess it all snowballs, man.
Sports programs across the country, that left a significant vacuum.
When COVID hit, about 56% of children in this country, ages 6 to 17, played organized sports in some form or another. COVID comes in and drops that number down to 49%.
Oh.
So there are a lot of kids who immediately lost access to a sport experience. Those are most often the kids who are attached to municipal programs, local, low-cost programs provided by cities and Park and Recs, which were just overwhelmed.
3, 2, 1.
Golly, this kid doing swimming too, man. She's a full-time
And the public programs
sport
that
mom.
did survive, they're constantly fundraising and battling to keep costs low for kids.
These services we offer here, they're life-changing for some of our boys who've never seen a pool or been in a pool before. It's much more difficult because the resources just aren't there as much. Whether that means on a city level, state level, federal level, the funding is just not aimed that way. So we have to work harder now to get that. Every year we have to dig deeper.
All right, Ismail, last lap. We got to get out. Yep, we got to go to basketball on the west side.
Oh my gosh.
Car's coming.
As the landscape of sports changes to become
This is crazy. Just think about what she's doing to try and give our kids like the best chance to be athletes. Whereas when I was growing up, you know what our parents were doing to make sure that we were elite athletes? They were locking the door to the house and being like, see you in 10 hours. Go ride your bike and play basketball and go do whatever. Go see you in 10 hours. Don't come back home until dinner's ready. When the street lights come on, get back home. That was the difference. Like, obviously you can't do that now. I'm not saying like go lock your kids out and they need to play outside, but just with COVID and just how dangerous the world is and just how the amount of information and the way that kids' brains work now, like you're battling against so much. This is what you have to do. If you want your 3 kids to be involved in all these sports, just traveling around full time, engaged in this. This is wild.
Cutthroat, we don't always have consistent gym access. So sometimes we'll be in the Bronx, sometimes we'll be in Brooklyn, sometimes we'll be in Manhattan. It's like wherever Coach Jay has a friend that let us use that space for that day and that time.
We have to keep it low because just families getting priced out. It's become a money grab. Families have to tell their child no because something's too expensive, and that's something that we're battling. That's something that we're looking to combat all the time.
The people who do the recruiting don't even look at the Parks and Rec programs or the nonprofit organizations that are running programs.
That's what I was saying. They're not looking. There's 100 teams that are in there. When we were looking at the scout, remember the scouting, Anthony Goods. They already have their scouting report. They already have the kids they're looking at. They're not going into the hood to try and find these diamond in the rough kids. Nah, we're not looking at them. So now these parents are paying all this money and it's like, we're not looking at those kids anyways.
That's right. They're only going to these expensive travel teams.
So with public programs on life support and desperate parents searching for answers, the private sector saw dollar signs.
Private equity has now woken up to the idea that there's so much money rolling through the system that this is a great environment for us to get into and do what private equity typically does.
Sports, that can mean buying up a bunch of different parts of an industry, facilities, tournaments, leagues, software, travel.
There we go. So this is what I was talking about with the gyms. Like, you can't, so what used to be maybe just like so when I was younger, we could sometimes get into our school court. There was a school court somewhere or a church court where people could just get into because someone had the key, someone knew someone. We could just get in, or we'd play at the park. But now imagine someone sees the value in that gym, someone with a lot of money, and they buy that court. And now they're like, well, no one's allowed in, but we do private training out of there now. And it's like, oh, well, there's all the access to where all these kids were going to play. Now you got to pay to get training.
Agents and using that to build a walled garden around the entire market so that competitors can't get in and consumers can't get out.
These are some of the largest investment firms in the world we're talking about.
Coach Derek might be
Josh
way behind.
Harris and David Blitzer are owners of the 76ers, New Jersey Devils, and now an expanding youth sports empire.
Talk to us about the opportunity in youth sports. What's the through line for youth sports from an investment perspective?
You know, one thing that really disappointed me, did you guys see the podcast with Alex Rodriguez? He's got a podcast. These two guys have a podcast together. And because they're part of a group that owns the Minnesota Lynx, Minnesota Timberwolves, and I can't remember, like a couple other things. They did a podcast with Kenny Beecham. I really like Kenny Beecham because he talks about like sports in a positive way, and he talks about like the good things or what teams did to win rather than like the engagement farming of like, this team sucks and this is why they lost. It's like, why not talk about what the other team did to win? Anyways, they were doing an interview with him, and Kenny Beecham is a player or is a person that he sees sport. He's like the old school sports mentality, even though he's a very young guy. He sees sports as like, man, sports are good. Like they were like, how would you sell the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Minnesota Lynx if you owned them? How would you extract the most? He was like, well, you got Anthony Edwards, who's one of the most popular players. He like current day Allen Iverson. You got Anthony Edwards and you got Nafisa Collier for the women. He's like, I would just champion those players. You got to tell stories about the players. And A-Rod and this dude here, forgive me, I don't know his name, but they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. And I'm like, when you make so much money and your whole focus is just money and money and money, like your human nature and all that stuff just like disappears. And they thought that was the most brilliant thing anyone has ever said in their life. They're like, wait, we should tell stories about Anthony Edwards. And it's like, duh, you got one of the best players in the league. Talk about one of the best players in the league. That's what you should do. And then A-Rod goes, okay, so you're talking about all these things, but can you tell us your business plan, your 5-year plan? Can you tell us your revenue and profit split? And I'm just like, all right, this is going into exactly what this video is talking about. The way America like just has gamified youth sports, how it has turned all of this into capitalistic money, like number go up. So let's do this. It's like, yeah, but what about the kids? What? Kids aren't rich. We don't care about them.
The through line for youth sports from an investment perspective.
So, and this is what I mean. Like they're talking about youth sports and it's like money. Tell me about the money side of youth sports.
It's massively fragmented, right? So the demand is there. I think the people, again, calculate it differently. I calculate the youth sports business at about $40 billion, growing at, high single digits a year. So as an example, Cal Ripken was somebody who was like my idol as a player, but more relevantly, post his playing career, Cal basically wanted to help kids. He wanted to teach them to play baseball the right way.
So he's talking about Cal Ripken, who's an all-time great. This is what I'm talking about. This guy is about to transform Cal Ripken's words into how do we make money? Cal Ripken is saying he's wealthy. He had a full Hall of Fame career and is going to, man, I want to give back and I want to help kids. Listen to what this guy's saying. And I get it. I feel like he's going to be like, man, we can help kids. We can do this. We can do this. There's so much money there.
Safe environment. And he and his brother Bill started Ripken Baseball. And they have the best youth baseball business in the country, in my opinion. And once we got into youth sports, I had been talking to Cal for years about trying to partner with him in some way, shape, or form.
And let's be honest, what kid wouldn't want to play?
So he's like, he wanted to help kids and he wanted to build these facilities. And he's like, so I'm trying to partner with him. What do you have to give back? What do you have to give back? You're just you're trying to make as much money as you can.
Here, turf fields, 17 batting cages, custom walk-up music. This is the full big league experience, but that comes at a big cost. Families aren't just paying $600 for an entry fee. These operations run lodging, concessions, merchandise.
The thing I hear parents.
So I'm sure this started off as like, yeah, we just want kids to play basketball, but I've seen these all over. In Australia they do this with their football, Australian football, but every country does this in some form. But this is in America, it is insane. Like they just build they take these massive plots of land. There's one that's actually built near where I'm at, and it's it's trying to be everything. So they've got like 10 volleyball courts, they've got like 10 basketball courts, they've got football fields, soccer fields, but basically they want people to sign up for memberships to have their kid play sports. And it's this very same thing that's happening here. And I'm like, man, why can't it just be a community center where you can just pay to go like when you want?
Parents complain about
You have to be a member. You have to have a family membership to be a part of it.
more than anything is a practice called stay to play, the policy that requires anybody participating in an out-of-town tournament to stay at their preferred hotel.
Yeah,
and if they don't, they're
crazy.
disqualified.
So when you add it all up, entry fees, travel, approved hotels, meals, this can run a family $2,500 or more per kid. And if you want your kid competing at the highest level, you've got to do that multiple times a year.
You can't have that big looping swing, you get right to the ball.
And the earlier you can get these kids playing at a high level, the more money can be extracted.
The earlier you form a travel team, the more likely that kid is going to bring their whole family. And so there's a lot of economic activity and therefore incentive if we can create these expensive environments in faraway places.
But travel baseball is just one example of private equity rolling up youth sports. This is happening in every sport, in every corner of the country.
Varsity Brands owns almost all of competitive cheerleading. The competitions, the apparel company, a professional league, and they have exclusive contracts with a lot of venues. Varsity also used to control the governing body and set the rules to advantage themselves. Another example is Black Bear Sports Group. They own over...
So this is similar. This isn't the company that I was talking about, but this sort of thing that's happening, it's exactly the same. Yeah, this is crazy.
40
It's happening everywhere.
ice hockey rinks across the Midwest and the East Coast.
And yes, hockey is an incredibly expensive sport to begin with. Just ask my parents. But one new expense even caught the attention of a U.S. senator.
So I was just told this last weekend that if I live stream my child's hockey game, my kid's team will be penalized and lose a place in the standings. Why is that? Because a private equity company has bought up all the rinks in the Northeast, has installed their own closed circuit camera system.
They want to sell the footage. If you want the footage, you got to buy it from us.
System into all of the rinks, has provided a paid-for subscription service to all of the families.
So one company owns the rink, manages the league, and facilitates an exclusive streaming service for parents. And
Man, I know a lot of, I don't want to get into it too in depth, but I know a lot of companies that do this for, hey, we'll get your exposure camps. We'll get your kid, we'll chop up game film and we'll do all this. And I'm like, man, they're charging $5,000 and you could just buy a subscription to like CapCut for like $20 a month.
We haven't even talked about equipment yet.
These companies, like, come on, they're taking advantage of the fact that we want to do what's best for our kids, telling us that if you have this bat, your kid's going to score 4 home runs and 3 scouts are going to call you. It's like, why am I up at 1 a.m. looking at Easton Dub bats, knowing I'm not going to get it for them, but feeling
$500.
pressured like maybe I should.
We could look at a kid's baseball bag and you could probably see $1,000 worth of gear just in that baseball bag alone.
This is creating such an unnecessary class division between the kids.
Fatima spends roughly $17,000 on team fees, $6,000 on travel and lodging, and another $2,000 on equipment. That's $25,000 a year to have her kids competing in youth sports. This is where we've ended up. So has anyone figured out a better way?
Norway is a nation the size of Minnesota, just over 5 million people, and yet they win all these medals? How did that happen? They created a Bill of Rights for children in sports.
Introduced in 1987, this declaration serves as the foundation for youth sports in Norway. There are 7 major principles, such as...
See, guys, why can't we be like Norway? Isn't this crazy that they said Norway is smaller than Minnesota, or it's the size of Minnesota, and they have won a ridiculous amount of gold medals at the Olympics. So they're producing some of the best athletes in the world at specific sports, and they're actually doing it with this Bill of Rights that allows that doesn't allow like the private equity to take over. So it's showing that the private equity, yeah, there's money in youth sports, but it's not making players better. That's not, it's actually making our athletes worse by being involved in these programs.
Children have the right to participate in a safe and secure training environment without any inappropriate pressure from adults. Children have the right to choose which sport and how many sports they participate in. Above all, Norwegians prioritize participation, not outcomes. It's not about collecting trophies.
And that became the foundation for one of the healthiest and happiest nations in the world.
But would these policies work in a country as large as the United States?
It would. The policies themselves would work, but getting people to buy in when money's involved, no. The cat's out of the bag. I say this all the time, right? Like the NRA, the National Rifle Association, you look at gambling companies, and you look at anything, private equity now, you look at social media platforms, anything when there's money to be made, like they're just going to keep trying to do whatever decision it takes for money to go up.
We're not as different as we think we are. I mean, Norwegian kids aren't made any different than American kids. They just understand what the child development literature and the athletic development literature say, and they build policy.
Now, Americans understand what the literature says. Again, it's just not about development. It's not about improvement. It's about money. And again, how this ties into that conversation we just had with Coach Chris, it's like once it becomes about the money, the focus is no longer on developing the athlete or making the athlete better. And now this has just been done on a larger scale for more athletes. It's more important to keep the athlete in the sport than it is to teach them all this crazy stuff, right? If you keep them in the sport, then you have a larger athlete pool at a higher level to choose from.
Policies, practices, partnerships, structures, and a philosophy that really centers the needs of youth as opposed to adults trying to make money off youth. We finally have this moment now where people want to have the policy conversations. They want solutions.
Now, American lawmakers are trying to shift the incentives in youth sports in the same way. In Pennsylvania, Congressman Chris DeLuzio has taken an interest in solving the problem here.
Chat. If it happens, if we get legislation that really meaningfully does change the way youth sports is regulated here in America, I'll give you guys $50. So I'll buy 50. I'll give out 50 gift subs, gift memberships. I don't think it's happening.
So we went to an event.
Actually, that's $100, isn't it? Screw it. I'll give out 50 gift memberships. I don't think it's going to happen.
He was hosting with families in his district.
In our country, sports are supposed to be an equalizer. Any kid, no matter where they're coming from, should be able to compete. It's a place where you can show up and work hard and you can achieve something bigger than yourself. But our country is drifting.
You got this dude falling asleep because he showed up and he's like, when do we get to the money making part? How do we make money though? This all sounds good. Like, yeah, okay, youth development and kids are going to be happy and our nation's going to be better off for it. But how do I make money? Where do I put my money in to get more money out? Tell me that, sir.
Away from that to where your family's
where's the food?
bank account will decide whether you might even get to step foot on the field. That must end. That's why we are here today.
For families enrolled in travel or club programs, costs can exceed $10,000 a year.
Basically, you're paying all this just so your kid can make a high school team. We're kind of at a loss in terms of moving forward with our kids and what we should prioritize.
In this time where this country is going through so much division, and it doesn't seem like there are many institutions that can bring people together.
Shout out to the one-on-one scene. Would be nice if we had some platforms and institutions that could bring people together. Would be nice.
Youth sports can bring people together.
So what will Congressman DeLuzio's bill actually do?
In mid-May, DeLuzio and Senators Chris Murphy and Cory Booker are introducing the Let Kids Play Act. The bill would include banning private equity from youth sports.
Oh, no. Sorry. Already at point one, this is not going to happen. This won't happen. This might be me being just pessimistic. There is no way you can just ban altogether. I want it to happen. I don't see this happening.
Ending vulture practices like stay to play that forces
I don't see this happening.
Families to stay in a tournament's preferred hotel, all while redirecting financial resources back into the community.
I love sports because the kids get a chance to be outside, they get a chance to move their bodies, they make friends through this, they, have all these amazing memories with these people, hitting home runs,
Just a bit of an anecdotal story, just quickly. The reason I don't think this will happen, because I saw this happens even on small scales. One of the clubs I used to work at, we had, let's say we put a program together, like a school holiday program where kids can come to basketball camps over the holidays. It would be like $50 a day or something. Let's just say $50 a day. And we probably would have, there'd be 40 or 50 kids maybe that want to be there, but they can't afford $50 a day. So I would always say things like, okay, if you can't afford it, still come to the camp. We'll figure that part out later. But we had people that got onto our board and eventually, and they were like, no, you can't let kids participate for free. If they were like, it's unfair on my kid. If I have to pay, everyone has to pay. And I'm like, this kid doesn't have shoes and he walks to practice because he doesn't have a ride and he lives an hour away. He wants to be here. We can find, it doesn't cost me any extra money to put this kid in the camp. We can put him in the camp. And they were like, nope, it's not fair. So this is why I think America is just, we're cooked. We're cooked because that was in Australia. And that's where they do care about youth sports. That's where they do put a lot of effort into participation. So I've seen that happen in Australia. I definitely see that here in America. We're cooked. It's not going to happen. I would like it to happen, but adults are horrible people.
In the park, out the park, making that three-pointer at the buzzer. I mean, these are things that they are going to take with them as beautiful parts of their...
Mind you, these were very wealthy people that were speaking like this. Very wealthy people. And they'd be like, it's not fair. And I'm like, it does not cost... $50 is nothing to you, but to this kid, like, $50 is infinite.
Their childhood.
Clippers on 3, family on 6. 1, 2, 3, Clippers! 4, 5, 6, family! Everyone down, let's go!
Yeah, this was a very good video. Let me know what you guys think. Like, I want to do more types of videos like this too, because I really do believe, like speaking with Coach Chris, like it does take a village. It takes a lot of people understanding how these things work and paying attention to it to at least make a dent in making these things slightly better. So yeah, very interesting video. I'm glad I watched it. I didn't know what it was going to turn out like, but that was awesome.